All right, it's Rick and Sasha with George Wilborn, and today we talk about the money. And
Money.
That's right. We got Rushion McDonald, brand strategist. He manages Stephen A. Smith,
Yes.
Image Award winner. And listen, you can catch him on Money Making Conversations. The one and only Rushion McDonald. How are you, man?
Yeah.
I'm
Here on a Wednesday. Always happy to come on the show, and I feel a big time. I'm on. I want to say TV. Feel like I'm on TV. You know, I'm on this new technology. You talk like changing the world, but that's what you do when you have money. And we're talking about money making conversations, and I just want to set a stage right here for everybody out there, especially African Americans. When I look at over 115 million people have died from COVID-19, 43,000 people have died in nursing homes. A lot of people won't say that. 683 of those have been employed. People have been employed in nursing homes. They've stopped releasing numbers on the demographics that are dying, as far as Black, white, Hispanic, because they don't want you to realize that a third of the 115,000 are African Americans, which means that they're making conscious decisions in our economy with no care at all for the people of color. They just want to be over. And that's sad, and I think that people really need to put pressure on their elected officials to understand that we have a right to know how we could survive and operate in this world, and we just tired of getting the last end of the check. And if you get the last end of the check, it's always the smallest part of the check, and that's what's happening during this pandemic period, and it's pretty obvious.
President Trump has said, blacks have had the most jobs under me, but now we're in a time where we're starting to see people are going through another Great Depression, it seems like. Do you think we're going to come out of this anytime soon? What are your thoughts?
Here's the deal.
That's the question I want you to answer, y'all. This is Money Making Conversations with brand strategist Rushion McDonald. He manages Stephen A. Smith, Image Award winner, and so many more. We got more with him coming up as Rick and Sasha with George Wilborn at 10 after the hour. It's Rick and Sasha with George Wilborn. Inside the party poll at 888-909-1514. This is Money Making Conversations with Rushion McDonald. He's the brand strategist for so many people. Stephen A. Smith's manager. He's an Image Award winner. The man has done everything. And most people are concerned about employment. Are we at another Great Depression, Rushion?
A couple of weeks ago, President Trump was dancing about 2.5 million in the job report. Well, let's put it this way. When 43 million people have filed for unemployment and you start reopening the country, there's going to be an uptick in employment. Let's call it that. That's going to be so there's nothing to jump around there. But he failed to tell you that the unemployment rate for blacks had increased. He didn't tell you that number. And so again, not giving you the full facts. He has not allowed us to as African Americans to be out there. I'm gonna just tell you right now, I consider myself a high profile African American with a great credit score. I still had to put out a tremendous amount of paperwork and affidavits to get a loan of credit during this pandemic times. That's me. So you look at people who are just regular everyday people, the struggle is not going to happen. So to answer your question, Rick, he is not telling the truth because he refuses to acknowledge the truth. He gives you a partial story. Now, I'm going to tell you this. You've not heard from Fauci, Dr. Fauci. Those White House briefings do not happen anymore. You do still see them from Cuomo in New York, but they do not happen at the White House because he knows that those reports affect the stock market. And so when the stock market was running high for 7 straight days because he just questioned the truth. And then the CDC put a report out and told him that, hey, this particular medicine that he keeps telling everybody to take is not a good medicine. Stock market dived again because there's too much bad information. And I have to talk like this because, people talk, I come on shows talking about money making conversations, but we got to talk about life. When people out there following bad advice and they're washing their chicken with Clorox bleach, because they think that will get rid of the COVID-19. Realize the world that we're living in is filled with bad information. So when the president of the United States tells you he's the best president for the African Americans in the history, then you turn around and Ben Carson said, I don't know about that. This is Ben Carson.
Anytime Ben wanted to dispute that, you got a problem.
Finally, he's speaking up.
What did Ben Carson say? We're going to talk about that when we come back. Money Making Conversations with Rushion McDonald. Rick and Sasha with George Wilborn. It's Rick and Sasha with George Wilborn. We're talking to brand strategist Rushion McDonald. And at the bottom of the hour, y'all, we're talking to Spike Lee. He's got a new movie streaming on Netflix called The Five Bloods. Now, Rushion, You were talking about how Ben Carson is not feeling Donald Trump too much. What did he say to him, man?
Ben father went, hold up. I can ride the line for so long.
Right.
I can't ride this line, okay? But that's the world we live in, and I just feel that when I see things like I live in the state of Georgia. It's a Republican state. Let's look at all the protests that are going on. Our mayor, Keisha Lance Bottoms, has went to the protests, has spoken to the protests. Atlanta is the capital of Georgia. Governor Kemp has not ever went out and spoken to the protesters, ever made an attempt to speak to the protesters. So it tells you the person who in the state of Georgia does not want to hear what the protesters have to say, and all they're doing is requesting change. And when you talk about requesting change, you have to go to this bill that Trump is about to sign. It says nothing about chokeholds. It says nothing about immunity. It says nothing about reform. And then they turn they found the police as a outcry that we're trying to close the police.
Right.
When I was growing up, we had programs like the CETA program. These are programs in the summertime. They have little jobs for you.
My first job was with the CETA program.
Okay, when Republicans took over, I'm talking about Ronald Reagan, he killed all the CETA program and put all the money into the police. And so we became a police state. And I'm just telling you, this is the same world that Donald Trump wants us to exist in, a police state, ignoring what is happening to African Americans in the street by allowing us to be brutalized. And if you're going to be brutalized in the streets, you're going to be brutalized in your bank account too, Rick.
Absolutely.
Rushion, a couple of things. We still have a lot of people, African Americans included in that still have not received their unemployment. And it's been weeks of them waiting for money. What do they do? And just recently, a couple of days ago, they were saying that it was still money available with the PPP. What do you say to the business owners? Because I keep hearing from business owners too, that they're applying and they just haven't heard anything back.
I always like to share personal stories. I applied in the first round of the PPP. I applied. The very first day, when they said you could press send, I pressed send. I got no money in the first round of the PPP. I applied in the second round. 2 weeks went by, nothing. Finally, I called my bank and demanded an explanation because they told you couldn't call your bank, right? Mm-hmm. I called my bank anyway and demanded what is going on. I didn't say it that nicely, y'all. I put an extra few words in there because when you're mad about your money, you should say a few extra words, okay? And so they put me in contact through another person at the bank, a loan officer who contacted the people that was handling the PPP at the Bank of America. I'll tell you the name of the bank. It was Bank of America. They found out that my application was stuck. It was stuck.
Wow.
They could see my application, but they could not process it. So I'm telling everybody, get angry about your money and make phone calls. Do not listen to these people when they tell you, oh, don't call us, we'll call you. That's not true. I am a prime example of my money was stuck. They had to unstick it, and when they unstuck it, they gave me a check that was so small, it could have stayed stuck.
Wow. But you cashed it. You took it.
You deposited it. I know you deposited it. I know you did.
I know you did.
There it is, y'all. Money-making Money-making conversations, y'all. Rushion McDonald, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you, brother.
I'll see y'all too. Be blessed, okay? I love you.
We love you. Bye, baby.
All right, bro.
All right, y'all. Coming up next, we're talking to Spike Lee. He's got a new movie out called The Five Bloods. Stick around as Rick and Sasha with George Wilborn.